AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's ride!
Hour 2 off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It is AFR, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. We're here from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days, Day 2. Georgia, Auburn, South Carolina, Vandy, all taking their turn. But right now, Brooks Austin, the film guy, good enough to join us. Thanks for the time, man. How are you?
Yeah, no doubt about it. I always enjoy seeing your clips on social media. I'm like, that guy's got something going on.
Is it
that guy's got a certain thing that he's doing way better than everybody else?
Like being red-faced and yelling a lot?
I mean, maybe. But if there is a red-faced yeller that is like at the top of his game, it is you, brother. I mean, it is you, man.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
That's me.
See? He's got it. It's like a switch you can flip, man. It's impressive.
You know what, man? But it's not like it's an intentional thing. It's like ask anybody that knows me. Like, we were all at dinner last night, and I started getting really upset about something. And like, it's my Enneagram 8-ness is what comes out in me. Don't worry, I'll explain that later.
I got people in my chat. There's like, why is he yelling at us?
I don't know.
What's he doing? No, me.
Okay.
Me. They're like, why is he yelling? And I'm
Why
like,
are you yelling?
I get super passionate about something.
Good.
You know, and then just got to get it off my chest.
Sometimes you got to yell. Just be your authentic self. So before we get into some LSU stuff, I want you to tell for the listener viewer that isn't familiar, and you even told me like 2 years ago it was so different because you were just walking around hoping someone would grab you and you go on the show. And this year, I think you told me you did 14 hits yesterday, which is awesome. And by the way, one of the things I love about the internet era of media is it is a meritocracy. Like, if you're good at what you do, you can win. And
Absolutely.
I love that. So I'm pumped for you and the growth you've had over the last couple of years, which is amazing. But tell people, like, how you got started, what you do.
Yeah, so I played Division II football at Shorter University in Rome, Georgia. And when you want to get into media, I think there's two routes, or at least at the time I thought there were two routes, right? I played SEC football. I want to be on television, so I get to do that just because I'm a name.
Sure.
And then there's the route that most of us have to take, which is like build it off the ground.
Yep.
And the only way to do that in 2019 when I got started was to be a writer. So I started as a beat reporter at the University of Georgia. And that's where I started because no one else was giving me an opportunity. So I was like, all right, I'll do that. Got really, really good at that. And then somewhere around 2020, I started doing YouTube stuff and like breaking down film. And it went off like gangbusters in the Georgia space. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to make this my thing. This is what I'm going to be good at, right? I'm going to niche this out. I'm going to be elite as I can at this. And then I reached, at least mentally, I thought we reached a saturation point in about 2022, 2023. Every Georgia fan that I was going to get, I already got. You know what I mean? And I wanted more, and I wanted to continue to build. I wanted to bring producers on, and it's really, really hard to do that if you've reached a capsizing point. So I started figuring like, all right, I'll just try to do this nationally too, but I didn't want to leave what I'd built, so I just do them both, and that's what we've been doing the last 2 years, and it's scaled really, really well. And I know why. I know why it scales in this conference specifically, because the type of content that I do, the film breakdowns, the types of takes that I bring to a microphone, they require the listener or the viewer to be what we call ball curious. Like, you have to wonder why something went right or why something went wrong. If you just want someone to tell you what happened, I'm not the guy. You know what I mean? But if you want someone to explain what's actually happening and why it's happening, then you can sprint to our place and come to an understanding of, like, this is why it worked, this is why it didn't, this is why this coach is a really good offensive coordinator, this is why the hot takes about this guy aren't all that great. You know what I mean? This guy's actually doing a good job, he's just got a problem here. You know what I mean? So that's kind of what's happened over the last 2 years, where 2 years ago I was just the Georgia beat reporter that was pretty good on YouTube, and now it's almost 100,000 subscribers. So very, very thankful.
That's awesome, man. Yo, get subbed up over on YouTube. Okay, then let's talk about Leavitt. When you look at Sam, because this is like a real curiosity point for all LSU fans. I think everyone understands whatever LSU is going to be, Sam's got to be the guy that he's being paid to be. But there's this giant curiosity because he didn't participate in spring, lingering injury maybe, and he ain't here this week.
Yeah.
So everyone's going, what's the deal? What do you see?
So at Arizona State, and I think these are two silos of conversations, right? Okay. What Sam is at Arizona State, what he has put on film, and what I know Lane Kiffin and that offensive brainstem is going to make him into. The playmaker and the quarterback that I saw at Arizona State, the only word I could use to describe it is frantic. Right? I compared him, honestly, to Trae Young, the basketball player, where, like, Trae Young would come down court, hit a freaking shot from the logo, and then the next possession go down and get blown by and give up a dunk, right? And as a fan, you're having these ups and downs of this player. Sam is that to me at Arizona State, where one play, he'll do something absolutely miraculous. He'll evade a rush, he'll spin out backwards and then throw a 45-yard bomb, and it'll be a touchdown. And then the next play, it's like, hey, dude, it was right there. Just take that. You know what I mean? Just do the simple stuff. And I think that is what Lane and Charlie Weiss Jr. and Danny Stevens, the quarterback coach over there at LSU, that's what they're great at ingraining into their players. It's like, hey, just trust what we got going on a little bit more. And now, especially with headsets and the ability to pull that microphone down and talk to that quarterback and give him the answers, I've actually gone about saying this way. I think Sam Leavitt's going to get an NFL GM fired. And it's not his fault, okay? It's not the GM's fault. What it's going to be is Lane Kiffin is going to make that guy look like a god. You know what I mean? Because that's what they do, man. They put up points. And I think Lane actually tweeted out a graphic during the Sugar Bowl while Ole Miss and Georgia were playing that said, you got to laugh at that, that were saying basically like, since helmet comms have come into the sport, no one has had more yards per game, no one has had more points per game, no one has had a better offense than what Ole Miss does or what Ole Miss was doing and now what LSU will do. And what that is I remember sitting at Georgia Ole Miss, the regular season game, and game day's in town in Athens, right? And I'm sitting back there and Kirby and Nick are having this conversation about Lane's whistle. Because Lane used to whistle a lot on the sideline because he'd see something and then he'd whistle and he'd give a new sign to the quarterback and they'd have the answer for that defense. Well, guess what? There ain't no whistle no more. He just pulls the headset down, gives the kid the answer, and then they roll. You know what I mean? So there really is no defending Lane Kiffin offense. What ultimately, the more and more I study him, because I am a film guy, you'll watch every team from Wazoo to Alabama to Georgia to whoever the hell they're playing that day, they will ultimately boil down to just playing man-to-man coverage. Because if you try to play zone coverage, he'll just pull the headset down, tell the quarterback where the void in the defense is, and then they will shred you to death. And they'll just walk the ball down the field. And then you get into man-to-man coverage, and now they start shredding you with explosives because you're getting beat or you're getting rubbed. So there really is no answer other than I've got to have better players than him, particularly at the defensive backfield. And that gets really, really peculiar when you're talking about LSU assets and LSU resources and LSU talent pool and the state of Louisiana wide receivers. You know what I'm saying? Like that to me, there was no question why he took the job. Right? I know there's a lot of questions about why or how he left the previous job, but dude, it's the LSU Tigers. Like, it is a better job than Ole Miss from a resources and ability and 5-hour radius standpoint. Like, state of Mississippi's got great JUCOs. It ain't got all that great high school football, right? I would put Louisiana probably third in the belt, maybe fourth in the belt, like in the SEC belt in terms of high school talent, right? High school football in the state of Louisiana is really, really good. It's really good in Georgia. It's really good in Texas. It's not all that great in Alabama and Florida. They got great football players, but the structure of high school football is not that great. Like a high school football coach here in Florida makes like $6,000 a year. There are 35 football coaches in the state of Georgia alone on public record that make over $100,000. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that type of investment into the quality of high school football comes out in a direct relation with quality of players that come out.
So Brooks Austin is our guest. I want to dig a little deeper on what makes Lane's offense great. And maybe you can even speak to Charlie Weiss's involvement here, but but like, what is it? I mean, I know they go fast and he's smart, but like, what is it?
So a lot of teams and a lot of coaches know defensive structures. I don't think any of them know them like he does, right? Like, because of who his dad was. It's Monty.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's rushing to play 3-high safety nowadays, which is basically a version of Tampa 2. Like, the middle safety is just going to roll into the mid-hole, and that's what Tampa 2 defense was. Well, who invented Tampa 2 defense? Monty Kiffin. So, and it's not just that. I would imagine having one of the best defensive minds in the history of the sport, having him as your father, not only tells you what they're playing, but why they're playing it and how they're coached to play it. Right, so you know the vulnerabilities in the structure that the defense is presenting at a really, really high rate. And that's why, again, you will see teams who have no business playing man-to-man coverage against the talent that they have, just boiling down to that. Because it's the only way, I call it the catch point. It's the only way you can actually get a defender at the catch point. Otherwise, they're just going to hook up in free zone windows the whole entire game. Georgia didn't get off the field. Georgia did not create a punt in the first football game against Ole Miss until midway through the third quarter. Georgia.
Why?
You know what I mean?
Like Kirby talked about it today. It's the only offense that he struggled with.
Yeah.
Like, because why?
Again, you just have to end up playing man-to-man coverage. Nowadays, with the headsets, there is no hiding. There is no, like, if I'm playing cover 3, I know where you're vulnerable in the seams and the flats. If you're playing cover 4, the middle of the field's open. Like, I know where these things are, and I have the ability to get them in now and beat them now. So, and playing man-to-man coverage isn't even, like, foolproof. Like, the play that cost Georgia the Sugar Bowl was cover 1 man. And DeBron Stribling gets a free release and gets outside of the nickel corner, and now all of a sudden it's a 45-yard explosive, and they're in field goal range, and they lose the game, right? So that's what it is, in my opinion.
Can you do another segment?
Absolutely.
Okay, because I want to dig deeper on, because you said, like, with the LSU talent now and the resources with the scheme, what does that mean? So I want to look at some of the resources that Lane's got up on this roster. We'll do that when we continue. Brooks Austin is with us. Get him at Brooks Austin BA. So we get him on Twitter. And, of course, YouTube, The Film Guy. Check him out. We're going to continue with Brooks Austin. Stay here.
AFR.
Get Gordon. Get it done. Gordon McKernan Injury Attorneys. If you've been injured in an accident, it's not your fault. Do what injured people in our state have done for 3 decades. Get Gordon and get it done. Man, I'm really fired up for the new members of the G team to be announced. We'll tell you more about them whenever that is public. But, Gordon does an amazing job. Amazing job of giving back to the communities that he serves and that have been so good to him and his family. The G team, his love for LSU certainly is part of that, all the NIL deals that they do with Tiger athletes. But on top of that, even still, you can dig deeper into the laptop giveaway during high school graduation, the bicycle giveaway around Christmas. We got to be at Gordon's office last year during the bike giveaway. It was such a great thing. Even things like investing in Court to Table, which is an amazing resource in Baton Rouge for people who love pickleball and just want a place to go watch games and things like that. You know what to do. You've been injured in an accident. It's not your fault. GetGordon.com. GetGordon.com. Get Gordon. Get it done.
We're brought to you by Supper Club. You can book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com. One of the things about Supper Club that I love is if you want to go to Supper Club and be a baller, you can do it. You want to go to Supper Club and order a $5,000 bottle of Chateau Lafite Rothschild, you can do it. You want to go have $400 shots of cognac, you can do it. You can have experiences at Supper Club that usually are reserved for Las Vegas and New York and Paris and Abu Dhabi. Like, that's here in Baton Rouge. But the thing you got to remember as well, if you want to go to Supper Club and have the best steak of your life and have a few appetizers, a dessert, bottle of wine, you can do it as affordably as any other restaurant in town. But the experience at Supper Club is unmatched. Introduced open seating at the bar, first come, first serve. So if you knock off of work, you want to head by Supper Club, you can walk in without a reservation, see if you can grab a bar stool or a table by the bar as well. Have a great dinner, maybe cocktail, close some business. Book your reservation, supperclubbtr.com, supperclubbtr.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Presented by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Relief Windows, Rev Fiber, and Parish Construction and Roofing.
All right, back here from Radio Row, Brooks Austin, good enough to hang out with us, the film guy. Make sure you subscribe up on YouTube and follow him at Brooks Austin BA. Okay, so we're talking about LSU. I love the word you used when talking about Sam Leavitt. You said it was frantic, and effectively said, look, the coaching staff just needs him to just trust what they're calling. But I love the way you put it about at Ole Miss, they had this offense. They had one receiver drafted. It was DeJon Stribling.
Yeah.
Nobody else. Now, Trinidad Chambliss, Will Lacey will when their day comes. But like one guy from last year got drafted. So now you give them the resources at LSU. So this year, what do the resources at LSU look like on this offense?
All right, so what was it? Jace Brown from K-State. I mean, you told me there's 9 wide receivers he brought in. And here's my take on this. That dude's got something figured out at wide receiver. He takes guys that you look at and you're like, wait a minute. You took a 400-yard wide receiver from Wake Forest? That was Deuce Alexander last year. I thought Deuce Alexander was their second or third best wide receiver at Ole Miss. He's still there. He'll probably go for 1,000 yards this year at Ole Miss. He's really freaking good. So this guy's got some type of sauce when it comes to identifying the skill sets that best fit what we do on offense. So, yeah, we grab a kid from Hawaii. We grab old buddy from Florida that's constantly banged up, or at least was it, with Trey Wilson. That dude's elite at the start and stop, right? And then the kid from Hawaii is like a 6'3" X-body type that can probably get vertical and stop.
Jackson Harris.
Yeah, to do a lot of this stuff that they do sometimes in the RPO game as well. But they got something. They got some type of sauce when it comes to identifying wide receivers that might not look like Jeremiah Smith, but they work for us.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, yeah, I would never, ever just be a namesake guy with Lane Kiffin wide receivers because he knows something. He knows something that I don't know, and I'm very, very forthcoming when I identify things like that in certain coaches, where it's like, oh, so-and-so took him. He must be good. That's the way I feel about Lane with wide receivers.
It's funny. He made a comment. I've played this. My audience has heard me play it a million times. Lane in spring, I asked him the question about the receiver core because he took so many guys, but none were the upper echelon. And in the way he described it, he said, you think of it like your cap. And if you have this total number, we don't want to spend all the money on one guy at the top. We want a bunch of guys because we think we're best when we have 4 to 6 guys, depth, and you make it, especially now with an extended season, you want to have a bunch of guys that can contribute. And that's kind of so like they took their money and spread it out. I think they look at the 9 guys they brought in. They brought 1 guy back and then the freshman coming in. So they got 13 scholarship wide receivers. They need 4, 5, 6 of those 13 to work.
Yeah.
So you think they'll identify among those 13 the 4, 5, 6 they need?
For sure. And the one thing I've heard from folks over there was just how bad they thought the offensive roster was a year ago when they got there.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Like just not what we want, not what we need. Not that they're bad football players, but that's not what we do. You know what I mean? Kind of the vibe. Defensively, I think they kind of let it stay intact for the most part. Rightfully so. Got a lot of dudes over there. I'm very, very interested to see what he does with Trey'Dez Green.
That's my next note.
Matt, they never had a dude like this. He has never had a tight end like this. I mean, was he O.J. Howard? Did he cross over O.J. Howard at Alabama? I can't even remember. It's been so long ago.
Yeah.
Was Lane there at Alabama calling plays? Or was that Sark?
No, he had to be there because Lane got there in 12, right?
Yeah, but O.J. Howard was in those Clemson years playing for national titles. So I don't even know if, again, it's beside the point, but like, I don't think he's ever had a tight end that can go like this kid can.
O.J. was 13 to 16. He was there with Lane. Yeah.
So he probably, and he squeezed the life out of that career. And got the most out of that football player. So, but it's even more use and more explosive at the tight end spot with what Lane does now as his offense. Because at Alabama, he kind of had to run his version of Nick's offense, which is never going to be as fun and explosive as what it is now. You know what I mean?
So I'm curious what you think about this. So we told you Lane gave us a lot of access in spring. We saw 1, 2, and 3 tight end sets, and we saw Trey'Dez attached, H-back, slot, and wide. Everywhere. He lined up everywhere on the formation.
That's the way it ought to be. I call it tight end pops. Like the old tight end pop pass we used to run in, like Pop Warner.
Yeah.
They run it better than anybody. This offense is elite at it. You just look up and you're like, wait a minute. Like their tight end last year who went undrafted, I think he had 800 yards receiving. And he was nothing compared to what this dude is from a physical standpoint. Nobody really is, apart from Elias Williams at Georgia.
Don't get me too excited, man. I'm trying not to be too excited.
You need to be excited about the offense.
Okay.
And like there's no iteration, no simulation in my mind where I'm like, LSU's going to be bad on offense. Like that's what this dude is.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not some of his tendencies offensively and being such an offensively leaned head football coach puts you at a disadvantage sometimes on defense, right? Like, hey, get ready for it, LSU fans. You're going to be really, really upset when he goes for it on 4th down on his own 35. Okay? But you're going to be really happy when he extends a drive doing so.
Yeah.
Okay? But there's going to be a lot of times where you're like, damn, coach, probably should have kicked the field goal. And that's just not the way they roll. You know what I mean? It's not the way he believes in it. They take the analytical book, you know, going by the book, to extremes. Mm-hmm. They go for it in situations where you're like, really? You're about to do this? And he will. He will flat out go because he just believes in what they do offensively. And he's got a deep bag on 4th and short and 2-point conversions, I would imagine.
It's interesting because that mentality cost them a playoff shot against Florida 2 years ago, basically, when they had 3 red zone possessions where they passed on field goals 3 times and gave the ball to Pegues 3 times, got stuffed 3 times.
Yeah, no, it ain't going to be handing the ball off inside the 3. Like, you're going to get some fun stuff. You know what I mean? Especially now that, like, Leavitt is a threat to run the ball, and that will be incorporated. And, by the way, that's the other thing about this guy. Y'all will never, ever recruit at LSU. You will never recruit a pro passer, a pocket guy. You're going to recruit nothing but athletes moving forward. It'll be a lot of Peyton Houston over and over and over again.
Yeah.
All right? Who, by the way, I think Peyton Houston is the next Trinidad Chambliss. Like, I think that is what it is. That kid is special.
We had a lot of conversations about Pop, again, and Elijah, but it's very, and when the staff came in, they didn't talk to Elijah. It was very clear they were focused on Houston.
And that's why.
Yeah.
Like, Elijah is a good athlete, Elijah Haven, but he's not sub 4.6 and twitchy and can start and stop and it makes offense so much easier. It makes offense so much easier when I know for a fact that I can balance counts, meaning like you have to account for the quarterback. So if you have 6 defenders in the box and I only have 5 offensive linemen and a ball carrier, the count is even. Not anymore.
Yeah.
Because I got a quarterback who can run. So we balance counts at a really, really high rate. They are very adamant about that in their offensive system and in their brain stem. They believe in making sure moving forward that they have a really, really good athlete at the spot.
Okay, I got a couple more. One, LSU has been awful running the football the last 2 years. They were dead last in the conference 2 years ago. I think this past year they were second to last. How are they going to run the ball this year?
Well, the system in and of itself will create a lot more opportunities. We play with a lot of pace sometimes in that system. It's slowed down considerably with helmet comms because they want to get the right play in. They're not as rapid as they've been in years prior. But Sam Leavitt will create that too. I love Nuss. I love Nussmeier. And it's a shame that his lat did what his lat did or back or whatever the hell it was. Because I thought that kid, if you watch his 24 tape, nobody's got more NFL throws on it than Garrett Nussmeier. But we end up having what we have physically, and then it just deteriorates. And it's pretty hard to throw the football when your back's all locked up like it was. But all that being said, even when he was healthy, he was not a threat. And in college football nowadays, it makes it way too damn hard. I'll take it to Georgia in 2024. Georgia in 2024 had 4 offensive linemen drafted in the NFL. 3 of them started day 1 when they got there. Day 1, and they're great. They're great NFL football players. They had 4 NFL football players on that offensive line. They finished 103rd in rushing.
That's crazy.
That math don't math.
Yeah.
It's the University of Georgia. It's Kirby Smart. They have 4 NFL offensive linemen, and they finished 103rd in rushing. How? Carson Beck. Can't run. So anytime I put the ball into the belly of the back, when he's inside saddle and shotgun, anytime I give any presence of run, the whole defense is just right to the ball carrier. Backside defensive ends are not held responsible. They don't have to get flat feet. They can just sprint right to the rock. And that makes it really, really hard because we're back to the balance counts conversation. We're not doing that. So it's going to be really, really hard to run the football. Alabama ran into this last year. Ty Simpson's great. He's awesome. But he doesn't balance counts. So it's a thing I believe in, and I know they do at LSU, and I'm moving more towards their thought process of like, dude, if your quarterback is at least not going to keep backside defensive ends honest, I don't care what you have in this conference, you're going to really struggle to move people and just blow holes open. It's going to be really hard. We gotta make the math.
Brooks Austin, get him at Brooks Austin BA before you go. You think LSU's a playoff team?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm a talent, assets, resources guy. I think they got a $40 million roster. 45? Yeah, I'm with you. I don't believe all these numbers that I see because I know, I think they got dang near $9 million tied up in the quarterback room alone. You know what I mean? So, I'm a believer that if you have a lot of talent and I know you're going to score a lot of points, you're going to be all right. Now, one thing I will say, I wish Blake Baker would calm down just a little bit with the defensive structures. Buddy, we're not running inbound plays, dog. We're playing defense. Line up and play. You know what I mean? I turned the tape on last year against Arkansas. He got 7 guys lined up in a straight line over the ball. And Taylor Green goes, quarterback draw. Phew. You know what I mean? 18 yards. Wow, right in the face. And I'm like, Coach, it's 3rd and 12. Just line up, dude. Just get them off the field. So I would imagine there's going to be a little bit of those conversations. I would have them with him. I know we're Mr. Exotic, and that's cool. Can we be Mr. Chicken and Rice every once in a while? Can we just line up and play ball?
It's much easier to do when you got a 30-point lead.
Yeah.
That might happen a few times this year.
It might.
Good stuff, brother.
Good seeing you.
Thank you so much, man.
No doubt.
Brooks Austin, the film guy. You'll get him at Brooks Austin BA. Subscribe on YouTube to the film guy. Awesome stuff, man. Great perspective. Does a great job. I'm fired up for him, too, and his success. Hey, we're brought to you by Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com, ShawBillsTire.com. We have locations all over South Louisiana. Name brand tires at wholesale prices. They keep you coming back because they treat you like family. It's Shawbills. Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. They guarantee you, by the way, that they're going to give you the lowest prices. They call it the Charlie's. It's part of the Charlie's dozen. It's the price match guarantee. It's a dozen benefits extended to you and your family whenever you buy tires at Shawbills. You buy tires at Shawbills. If you find those tires advertised cheaper somewhere else, they're going to refund you 125% of the difference. Shawbills Tire and Auto Service. ShawBillsTire.com. ShawBillsTire.com. Shawbills. We keep you rolling. All right, it's after further review. Yo, we are halfway home here, day 2 from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. In 30 minutes, our convo with Marty Smith, where I basically just told Marty, tell me what happened on Thanksgiving weekend in Oxford. And he, in Marty Smith fashion, riffed for 8 minutes of nothing but pure non-caffeine-induced energy, and it was awesome. So that's coming up in 30 minutes from right now. Convo with Chris Doering is coming up as well. We're glad to have you aboard with us. Stick around here on Radio Row from SEC Football Media Day. Tuesday show is powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana.
AFR. REV,
RevFiber.com, RevFiber.com. Of course, Rev, one of our presenting sponsors here from Radio Row at SEC Football Media Days. Rev, an official partner of LSU Athletics. So happy for our friends over at Rev for getting that deal done, using the brand, the marks, and being locked hand in hand, lockstep with LSU Athletics. So congrats to Rev on getting that deal done. Proud partner of LSU Athletics and a proud partner of ours here on AFR. And I tell you all the time, I don't just endorse Rev, I'm a customer. Erica and I, as soon as they laid fiber in our neighborhood, we switched to Rev. At Parish Construction and Roofing, we are Rev customers. At Guarantee Media, we are Rev customers. Actually, Guarantee, we ended up saving a ton of money. So we had a bunch of services and cable boxes and internet with different companies. Anyway, we ended up consolidating and saved a ton of money by switching to Rev. You might be able to do the same with your business every single month. Check them out, RevFiber.com, R-E-V, RevFiber.com, RevFiber.com.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa, presented by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Relief Windows, Rev Fiber, and Parish Construction and Roofing.
Rolling along here. Glad to have you hanging out with us from Radio Row SEC Football Media Days. here in the afternoon, Vanderbilt, South Carolina took their turns. I'll talk about Vanderbilt a little bit in hour number 3, but I wanted to take a minute and talk about South Carolina because one of the fascinating things about this event always are new coaches. And the question of who's on the hot seat maybe at their last media days. Now, a year ago when we were here, there were no new coaches. I mean, every coach was in the conference was retained going into 2025. This year, as we know, there are 6 new coaches. And so it's been a giant storyline. The one guy, though, that everyone sort of unanimously looks at and agrees is on the hottest of hot seats is Shane Beamer at South Carolina. And it's so interesting because they very patiently waited with Shane as he built that program. And then 2 years ago in 2024, they went 9-3. And, of course, they had the loss to LSU where the pick 6 came off the board. South Carolina fans will forever complain about that. But you can't blow up the quarterback blind side. It's a penalty. Everyone knows it's a penalty. Anyway, they completely choked away an opportunity to beat Alabama. And point is, they were close at 9-3. And so going into last year with Lenora Sellers back, the expectation was they were going to take that next step and potentially be a playoff team. Well, they went 4-8, and it was an atrocity. And they were one of the worst offenses in the conference, and Mike Shula got fired. I could point to the fact that hiring Mike Shula was an abject disaster. I don't know why anyone would ever have considered that have been a good idea, and it's why coordinator hires are so massively, I'm saying the obvious, so massively important. But kind of quietly this offseason, Shane Beamer not only got Lenora Sellers to return, but he hired Kendall Briles. And Briles has been, he's obviously off the tree from his father there with Art Briles over at Baylor. And he played he started his career at Texas, playing career at Texas, finished his playing career at Houston. He's coached at Baylor and FAU, and with Lane, incidentally, and Houston, and then Florida State, then Arkansas, TCU, and now at South Carolina. And I think it is going to be fascinating to see if Kendall Briles can spark whatever it is in Lenora Sellers to make him the prospect people think that he can be. We all know that undeniably with Lenora Sellers, the physical ability is there, right? I mean, he's 6'3", 240. He's a dynamic threat running the ball and has great physical ability throwing the ball. But I've often joked, Rex Beck's couldn't hit water, fell out of a boat. The inaccuracy has been a problem throughout his career. For Sellers. He completed just 60% of his passes a year ago. And so you saw all of his numbers fall back. His passing yardage number, his passing touchdowns went from 18 to 13. He threw an additional interception. He went from 7 to 8. And the rushing total was gutted. He went from 674 rushing yards 2 years ago to just 270 last year. So, you look at Lenora Sellers and you wonder, can they maximize this great physical ability? Another stat, I forget who gave us this stat a year ago. And I thought my memory would jog. If I do, we'll talk about it. But Sellers, by a mile, had the longest time of any quarterback in the SEC holding the football before a pass attempt. So obviously allowed the pass rush to get to him, and coincidentally, or it's why he was, or incidentally, why he took such a large number of sacks. So can Kendall Briles coming into South Carolina turn that offense around? Now, Shane Beamer was asked today about hiring Briles, and remember, he played against Briles when Briles was at Arkansas, and so he saw him at Arkansas, and so Beamer was asked, did facing Briles at Arkansas impact the decision to hire him?
Certainly, Kendall, I knew who he was, didn't know him personally going into that day. What he did that day was impressive, the way that offense operated and how efficient they were. So certainly when I was going through the process of hiring a new offensive coordinator, I went back and I watched that game. I mean, I remember I was there, obviously, and we didn't win. I remember it, but I wanted to go back and watch, how they attacked us and what they did and some of the things they did offensively. And watching the tape of that game on my computer did nothing but reaffirm, that Kendall was somebody that I wanted to get in our program.
The really interesting thing about South Carolina, we talk about everybody's schedule when we talk about these teams, right? And so at the end of the week, whenever we do our order of finish and the all-SEC team and everything, we'll talk through this. But when you look at South Carolina's schedule, they get an opportunity to get some feel-good in the belly in the first month. They start with Kent State and then Towson, and then they have a home game against Mississippi State. So they open up conference play against State, so that game is in Columbia, South Carolina. And then they go to Alabama. So they're going to very likely be favored in their first 3 games. Then they go on the road to Tuscaloosa. But then they're back home against Kentucky, which get new coach, new system, all there with Will Stein. Then they go on the road at Florida. How quickly can John Summerall get Florida up to speed? That's right at the midway point of the season there on October the 10th. So it'll be interesting. That's a road game. It'll be tough. Then they're back home against Tennessee, at Oklahoma, home against A&M. So that's their toughest stretch right there. At Florida, home against Tennessee, at Oklahoma, home against A&M. But they avoid back-to-back road conference games. I guess all that to say, and then they finish with Arkansas, Georgia, at Clemson. At Arkansas, Georgia, at Clemson. So I can see a world where they're an underdog at Florida, they're an underdog at Alabama, they're an underdog at Oklahoma, they're an underdog at Clemson. They got a home game against Georgia, a home game against A&M. They'll probably be an underdog in those 6. If they win their other 6, all right, you're at 500. Can you find a way to upset a couple of teams where you're going to be an underdog? And if so, now you're talking about an 8-win team, and that's bouncing back from 4-8 to maybe going 8-4. And if that happens, then I think Shane Beamer's safe. But if they go 6-6 and chalk holds with this schedule, then you're likely looking at the end of the line for Shane Beamer in Columbia, South Carolina. It would be a precipitous fall from the peak of 2 years ago, going 9-3 and being really a breath away from the play for really a couple of games where you blew opportunities to win. I mean, they blew a double-digit second-half lead against LSU, and they gagged away the game where they had dominated Alabama early in that game and then ultimately lost. So it will be it'll be really interesting watching South Carolina as a test case because, look, the 6 new coaches in the league aren't getting fired. And Kirby, obviously, is not getting fired. And you can look at other stable points. I don't think Mike Elko and Steve Sarkisian, these coaches are established. But you look at where there could be sort of unrest in the league, and Columbia, South Carolina is really ground zero for that right now. All right, it's After Further Review. We're glad to have you aboard with us here. We're brought to you by Hancock Whitney. HancockWhitney.com/Matt. They gave us our own custom URL. I told you I am a card-carrying member of the Hancock Whitney fan club, like quite literally. Look, I'm pulling out my money clip, so I'll show you all this. I have the Hancock Whitney Saints Gold debit card. So you can get yours. LSU, their official banking partner of the LSU Tigers, official banking partner of the New Orleans Saints. So you can get your debit card for the Tigers or the Saints. Be a card carrying member. HancockWhitney.com/Matt. Use our custom URL to get started to learn more. I love the app as well. It's really a financial center where you can budget. It'll track spending. It'll help you do investments. It's real big graphs, easy to use if you're visual. I love it. HancockWhitney.com/Matt. HancockWhitney.com/Matt. All right, it's After Further Review, y'all. We're going to put a button here on hour number 2 when we come back. Remember, you can always email us, tweet us, or text the show, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Our convo with Marty Smith is coming up in 16 minutes. Our convo with Chris Doring next hour as well. A lot still to get to, and glad to have you hanging on with us here on a Tuesday edition of AFR. Coverage from Radio Row all week is brought to you by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Parish Construction and Roofing, Relief Windows, and Rev Fiber. We'll continue to wrap up hour number 2 next.
AFR.
If you're thinking of selling your home, call Darren James and get your home sold. 335-7666, 335-7666, or agent225.com, agent225.com. I want to remind you, because we haven't talked about it in a while, but it's a good time to remind you about that home value tool at the website, agent225.com. If you've never heard me mention this, I want you to do this. Pull your phone, or if you're desktop, just type in agent225.com, agent225.com. It says home value, bottom right on the homepage, or just scroll if you're on mobile. It says home value. You literally just type in your address, hit enter, and then boom, it will use local market data to give you a more accurate representation of what your home is worth today. Agent225. And by the way, it's a totally free tool to use. You can do it right now at agent225.com. If you're thinking of selling your home, call Darren James. Get your home sold.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
Better coverage for less money. That's Insurance Network of Louisiana. 293-0450, 293-0450, 293-0450, or lainsurance.net. That's where you get Insurance Network of Louisiana. Call Adam, Jay, the whole gang over at Insurance Network of Louisiana. It's super easy. I've told you about them for years. It doesn't matter if it's your homeowner's insurance, your car insurance, your business insurance. They crush it, by the way, for restaurants. If you're a restaurateur or know someone who is, tell them whatever they're paying in insurance, they need to call Insurance Network of Louisiana to let them shop independently for free. Dozens of the top-rated companies in the world to find you better coverage for less money. 293-0450, 293-0450, or lainsurance.net, and it is free. It doesn't cost you, literally, there's no catch. It doesn't cost you anything. If they save you money, great, switch. If not, okay. At least you know the coverage you have now is great. Why wouldn't you call? 293-0450 or lainsurance.net.
After further review, powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Live from the 2026 SEC Football Media Days in Tampa. Presented by FMOL Health, Our Lady of the Lake, Relief Windows, Rev Fiber, and Parish Construction and Roofing.
Wrapping up hour number 2. Auburn was here Georgia and Auburn took their turns this morning here at SEC Football Media Days. And I've been waiting for Auburn because if you listen to the show any length of time, I've talked about this a good bit. I'm bullish on Auburn as my sleeper team in the conference. And I don't know that I believe them to be a sleeper in terms of the college football playoff. I think that's far too ambitious. But Auburn has had a sub 500 record 5 straight years. It is stunning to think that the Auburn Tigers, with all of their resources, could fall on that sort of hard times. And so Alex Golesh comes in, and he's a guy who sort of rebuilt USF and did so with Byron Brown the past 3 years as his quarterback. And remember, USF during that time has played Florida, who they beat last year, by the way. One of the reasons Billy Napier is no longer the coach. They had a home-and-home with Alabama. The game in Tampa 3 years ago was a close game into the fourth quarter. So I think Auburn, we know Golesh is a good offensive coach, and he has the biggest missing piece, which is the quarterback, who was a 3,000-yard passer and a 1,000-yard rusher a season ago. So you have this dynamic dual-threat guy that knows the offense, runs the offense, and I think should seamlessly integrate. So I kind of wonder, and Golesh was asked, what is successful in year one? Here's what he said.
I don't really have any goals other than laying a foundation for what Auburn football is going to be for years to come, and that starts with building an identity. And this word identity is the only thing we've talked about as a program. And the first piece of this identity that we've hammered home is the ability to be physically and mentally tough, the ability to be the most violent football team on the field every Saturday. Violent. I think that's something you can watch and see. A football team that's connected. Guys score, do they celebrate together? Guys make mistakes, do people pick them up? Create an explosive on defense. Is everybody in there celebrating together? A group that communicates extremely well. A group that plays for each other. A group that has leadership. And it has to come from the guys on the field. We've spent a lot of time building leaders. And a team that's incredibly detailed. We talk about winning in the margins. You watch a team play, and are they detailed in what they do? Is situational football look like the way it's supposed to? If we can leave year one and we have a foundation that's built on our identity, I would tell you it's a successful year one.
Okay, that's a lot of coach speak, and I think a lot of it is bogus. That's not going to inspire a lot of confidence in anybody, nor should it. But when I look at Auburn this year, and by the way, standing next to Byron Brown today is massively impressive because he is a giant human as a quarterback. You can understand why, as a running threat, he's a problem, similar to Lenora Sellers, a big dude with great athleticism that's hard to get to the ground. That's why he's a 1,000-yard rusher. So look at Auburn. Their win total this year, over-under, is 6.5. Basically, odds makers are saying they're going to go 7-5 or 6-6. And when you look at the schedule, it kind of makes sense, okay? They got to go to Tennessee, to Georgia, to Ole Miss, at Mississippi State, at Alabama. They have 5 road conference games this year. That's tough, and they open up with Baylor. So you look at it, they also have Renna wins against Southern Miss and Samford. So Baylor, Southern Miss, Samford are the non-conference games for Auburn. So they'll be favored against Baylor. That's the opening Saturday of college football, 2:30 on ABC. That'll be before LSU plays Clemson September the 5th. So they play Baylor, where they're favored, Southern Miss at home where they should win. They get Florida at home. And I'll remind you, Golish and Byron Brown beat Florida last year in Gainesville. Different team, John Summerall, I get it all, but this is a game at Jordan-Hare Stadium. Then they're home against Vanderbilt. Jared Curtis may end up being awesome, freshman 5-star quarterback, but that's still going to be the 4th start of his career. Early, and he's going to be on the road at Jordan-Hare Stadium. So they get back-to-back. So they get the neutral site game against Baylor, then they're home against Southern Miss, home against Florida, home against Vanderbilt. Then they're on the road at Tennessee, at Georgia, brutal back-to-back. Home against LSU, at Ole Miss. That 4-game stretch, they will probably lose all 4. At Tennessee, at Georgia, home against LSU, at Ole Miss. Like, I look at the spot from an LSU perspective, and I worry about the letdown because it's a tough spot for LSU where you're playing 8 straight weeks before your bye, and that 11 a.m. kickoff at Jordan-Hare Stadium just stinks. But Auburn's going to play Georgia in Athens the week before they play LSU. So that's going to be a really tough spot for Auburn because they do get the bye, by the way, after Tennessee. This is going to be a really tough spot for Auburn after Georgia to have to face LSU. So I feel better about that game. And then they're at Ole Miss. So that 4-game stretch at Tennessee, open date, but at Georgia, LSU, at Ole Miss. They probably lose all 4. And then you go, if you start 4-0, then lose your next 4, then November determines what you are. Arkansas, at Mississippi State, Samford, which is a win, and then at Alabama. So Samford, I think, gets you to 5. Should beat Arkansas at home, which gets you to 6. And so then it's, can you win in Starkville or in Tuscaloosa in the Iron Bowl? If you somehow find a way to split those road conference games, then you're a 7-win football team, which I think is doable for Auburn this year. Getting to 8 is going to be a challenge because you're going to have to beat somebody on the road that you're not expecting to beat. Tennessee, Georgia, Ole Miss, State, or Alabama, those 5 road games. You're probably going to have to win 2 of those. So it's going to be interesting to watch if Alex Golish can start moving Auburn in the right direction, but he's got the right signal caller there in Byron Brown for year 1. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here as we put a button on hour number 2. When we come back, Marty Smith, our conversation, we've teased it enough. It was great to talk to Marty about his pursuit of Lane Kiffin that Thanksgiving weekend in Oxford, Mississippi. You're going to hear that when we come back. Our Tuesday shows are powered by Sunshine, your hometown John Deere dealer in Louisiana. Hour 3 coming up right after SportsCenter.
AFR.
AFR is brought to you by Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, Arco.com, Industrial Generac Generator Power. That's what you get with Arco Power Systems. You know, we talk about home standby generators all the time. You know, when you talk about home standby generators, power goes out. Obviously, you know, generator kicks on and then powers your home. Great in the eye of a storm, in the face of a storm, or even just, you know, those pop-up storms that happen sometimes in Louisiana when, you know, the wind blows, the rain's heavy, knocks over a power line, and power goes out. Well, what about your business? That's where Arco comes in. If you can't afford to lose the productivity of being offline for hours, days, weeks, you need Arco Power Systems. When the power goes out and you need your business to continue being operational, you want Arco Power Systems. Turnkey solutions, industrial Generac generator power. It's Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com, Arco.com.